Hello and welcome back to the Cynical Optimists, because everything sounds great until it turns out to be bad. This is a podcast where we go over the film, TV and gaming news from the week, and then discuss something from the recent popular culture, usually a movie or something in gaming. And yeah, that's basically the show. Thank you for joining us. I am Phill.
That is what we do, and I'm Nick.
And, well, we've been off since 2017. So, how have you been the last 4 months, 5 months almost?
So much going on. What have I done? We've played Aliens, Colonial Marines, which lasted about 10 years.
Oh, something around there.
And I'm very tired right now because I've done multiple late finishes from these Avengers screenings, which is going to be our topic for this week.
Yes, this week we're discussing the new Avengers movie, so that will be in kind of the latter half. As usual, we'll be starting with spoiler-free, and then we'll warn you before we start talking spoilers in case you haven't seen it. But before we get onto that kind of stuff, news. Let's discuss the news of the week.
And we usually start with film and TV, yeah.
Yep, take it away, Nick.
So I thought I'd start with the most exciting piece of news, which is the Fast and Furious Netflix series.
Oh, right.
Nah, I'm just kidding, it's not that exciting. Basically, they're doing an animated series, for some reason, based around the Fast and Furious films.
Isn't doing a film like every single year forever not enough?
And most of those films are mostly CGI, so they've technically already got an animated series.
Maybe they just decided this was the natural end point. More and more frequent films becoming more and more animated anyway. So let's just do a TV show and do it weekly.
Let's not beat around the bush. Let's just call it what it is.
Take this to its natural conclusion.
What have we got? It's gonna focus around teenager Tony Toretto, who's the cousin of Vin Diesel's character Dom Toretto.
Okay.
This sounds boring.
I don't see the point of it, to be honest. Because I thought the Fast and Furious films were meant to be guilty pleasures for those that enjoyed them, and it got them to the cinema and it was stuff like that. I don't see how a TV show is going to be the same. Surely you're just going to cause people to become even more worn out on the concept because it will be more runtime. And the stories aren't exactly what you watch them for. It's the ridiculous explosions and things. And
I was going to say as well,
TV shows won't have the budget.
No, and I presume this is just it's planned to get kind of younger kids on board with the franchise, but I don't know. Who cares?
You're never too young to see a car do a 360 through the air for an explosion.
For an exploding building.
Yeah. Whilst the ground beneath it's on fire and...
Sure. Good for them. Who owns it? Universal?
I'm not actually sure. Like I say, I know absolutely nothing about these films apart from things go fast and people are generally furious.
I have a feeling it's Universal. And to be fair, they're not really doing much else in terms of franchising. You know, they still technically own the rights to the Hulk franchise. The Hulk as a standalone movie character.
Oh, I would believe it, definitely.
Yeah, so that's why we haven't had a Hulk movie as well. I don't know why. You'd think they would, wouldn't they?
You'd think they'd find some kind of sharing way that Sony inevitably did.
Well, yeah, it's a similar situation to Sony, so that Universal owns the standalone Hulk movies, but Marvel can use him as much as they want in other films.
So he's basically just appears in 4, and it's basically just as much a Hulk movie as it is a 4 movie.
Yeah, and they don't technically have to give it to Universal to distribute.
Although I did smirk a bit when you said Universal's not really got the big franchise. It's not as if they haven't tried with the Dark Universe. It's just they're no good at it.
I keep forgetting that was them. Bless.
They made one film and then just gave up.
Did you ever see The Mummy?
No.
Oh, it's terrible.
See, that's the thing. People keep on asking me whether I've seen films that I've just heard are bad. I'm like, no, why would I do that to myself? Everyone said it's really, really terrible.
Yeah. Okay, so more Netflix news is that Stranger Things Season 3 has begun production. They've posted videos or little videos or pictures and stuff of script reading around the table and all that.
Ah, that's fun.
Have you seen that? That is a good show.
No, it's on my Netflix list, but I haven't actually seen it yet.
Yeah, so that's a good one. That's some good Netflix news.
Hmm.
See what I'm doing? I'm contrasting.
Yeah, sure.
Yin and yang.
Yin and yang. You're going for those dizzying highs and those depressing lows.
Switching over to Amazon. Did you ever see another really good show, Utopia?
No, but you were talking about this. I think when we last saw each other last weekend.
Oh yeah. We had the Synopt company retreat last weekend.
Yes.
That was good fun.
We
just spoke mostly about Star Wars for.
We took a break from just sitting around the house discussing film, movies, TV games, and we went to a forest to walk around and talk about film, movie, TV games.
Exactly.
And I realised that film, movie are the same thing. And I've just been saying that.
So yeah, one of my favourite Channel 4 shows, Utopia, it's been picked up for a US remake by Amazon. I was kind of always rooting for a continuation because they left it on a bit of a cliffhanger, and I would have loved to see that series go on. But it's a good concept, so sure.
See, part of me's a bit sceptical because obviously US remakes of things are typically not very good. But because it's a streaming service, I'm not sure why, but it makes me feel a bit more hopeful that it might be good.
Yeah.
Like you get where I could be thinking that from.
Yeah, they can be a bit more experimental on Amazon.
Yeah, whereas and also it's been a few years since I think we've seen the last bad adaptation. I think the last one I remember seeing was when they tried to take the In-Betweeners over to the US.
Oh yeah.
And that was, oh god, I saw one clip from it and I was like, oh dear, this is absolutely terrible.
Woeful, yeah. But you never know. Might go quite well.
Yeah, Amazon have made some decent stuff in the past, so who knows? It sounds good.
This is also the second time the US have tried to pick it up, because HBO were going to do it a few years ago with David Fincher directing it.
Okay.
But yeah, again, that kind of didn't happen, so we can still, despite 2 potential US remakes, I'm still kind of holding out a bit of hope for picking up the original UK series, but it's never going to happen.
I doubt it somehow.
If you do get the chance to watch it, it's incredible. Season 2 is just as good. There was only 2 seasons, but season 2 had Ian McDiarmid in it as well.
Would it be on 4OD, you reckon?
Yeah, probably.
Cool.
Recommendation right there.
Recommend it.
Stunningly shot, really good concept.
First recommendation of the run.
Okay, so that's a yin. Ready for another yang?
Sure, hit me.
Stephen Moffat's been chatting a bit about his and Gattis's Dracula reinvention.
Oh dear, yeah.
The word he's described it as is Sherlock-y.
So good for 2 seasons, okay for 1 season, and bad for 1 season. But each season is at least a few years apart.
I'd say that was even quite generous, your description of Sherlock just then, but sure. Yeah. That's basically all he said.
See, that seems like the kind of thing where if a person doesn't have prepared comments and he gets asked a question, he's like, it's like that other thing I did. Because I'm doing it.
I was going to say, he pretty much copies and pastes dialogue from previous things anyway.
Yes. Well,
have I told you when I rewatched, what was it called, Jekyll recently, and one of the main female characters keeps going up to the main character and saying, "Hello, sweetie."
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's some of it is just word for word. Again, he's got the woman character button on his computer that just.
What we should do when that show comes out, and to be honest, this is an idea I had too late into his Doctor Who tenure to do, but just make a bingo card of all his tropes, and just watch the episode and if anyone gets bingo, they win. I think Hello Sweetie is the centre square because it's most likely to come up.
That's a good game. I like that. We can do it when this comes out.
Any news on when it will come out?
No. but it might happen eventually. Who cares?
Some quality reporting.
I mean, if he's not going to make quality shows, I'm not going to make quality news reports. He's getting paid for it. Come on. Right. Star Wars news?
Sure.
Okay, so we've got a new Star Wars animated series on the way from Dave Filoni, who's ran the previous one. So bear in mind, the first animated series was the Clone Wars. Then we had set between 2 and 3. Then we had Rebels set between 3 and 4. What do you reckon this one's going to be?
Well, I think you're forgetting the Clone Wars that happened before Clone Wars, that 2D animated series that was terrible.
Oh yeah, that as well.
But no, I've seen a little bit about this. Isn't it meant to be before episode 7, if I'm right?
Yes, it is. So they've gone for the kind of predictable time period. But to be fair, I've wanted to see a bit more in this one.
Yeah, no, that's a time period we still don't really know a lot about, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
To be honest, we know quite a lot of what happens between 3 and 4 now.
Yeah. Like all of their spin-offs so far have been between 3 and 4.
Yeah, and the upcoming Solo as well.
Yeah. Do you know what this one's called?
Oh dear, I did see it, but
you can take a guess based on the Clone Wars, Rebels. What do you reckon this one's called?
Star Wars Resistance.
That's the one.
Okay.
It's exactly as easy as it sounds. But apparently we might get the odd cameo from Oscar Isaac as Poe. Gwendolyn Christie as Phasma. We got BB-8 as a recurring character.
Of course.
And the style of it is supposedly going to be anime.
Yeah, no, the picture I saw of it was quite anime-ish, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, because it kind of reminds... I never saw it, but it reminds me of almost like the Avatar Legend of Korra shows.
Right, yeah.
That were produced by...
Filoni said it's going to be anime-inspired, so...
Yeah.
So, yeah, sure, that could be fun.
Could get some scenes with Phasma where she doesn't immediately get deposed.
I think Dave Filoni is a really good writer and showrunner, because he did the Clone Wars and Rebels, but I do think every time they've got a new Star Wars medium coming out, I do feel it's a missed opportunity to diversify the creatives.
Yeah, no, it seems like it's playing it a bit safe, doesn't it? Just by getting the same.
Yeah. Plus, we're kind of getting straight white males running all the upcoming Star Wars mediums. So we've got Jon Favreau. I mean, I really like these guys as creatives, but Jon Favreau. We've got the Game of Thrones guys. We've got Dave Filoni. We've got Ron Howard, all the upcoming Star Wars. I mean, and they're all really good creatives, but I don't know. I feel like they need to at some point, because their film
on these kind of side projects as well would be a great chance to give a new talent a test of the water, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So more Star Wars news. Apparently, Alden Ehrenreich, the new Han Solo, has signed up for 3 movies.
Cool.
So you know he won't die at the end of Solo. That's good.
So going back to something I think I mentioned to you, the first one's going to be called Solo, then it's going to be called Duo, and then we'll get Trio, and those are the 3 films.
Very nice. So yeah, that could be quite fun. He looks good so far, I think, in all the trailers and stuff that I've seen. Yeah,
well, it'd be interesting to actually, joking aside, know what other stories they'd really want to put the young Han Solo in, because there's not really much that fascinates me about him before pre A New Hope.
Yeah, I think what they're banking on is that he is quite a marketable character. Him and Chewie, they're going to sell a lot of toys and a lot of...
No, yeah, they're marketing on it being a success, and they'll be here's another Star Wars side story set between 3 and 4, and Han and Chewie are going to be in it again. It's going to be called Chewie, and it's going to be Solo, but from Chewie's perspective.
Ooh.
So Chewie we can understand what he's saying now.
All the humans. Lion King 2 or whatever.
Yeah, all the humans sound like because that's how Chewie kind of sees it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. But,
Star
I mean,
Wars. If you want my contact details, you can get in touch. I can help you make these movies.
So Solo's obviously out end of May. The fact that he's got the 3-picture deal is kind of promising.
Yeah. Well, Yeah. Well, I suppose because obviously you're not someone who didn't like The Last Jedi as much. Rian Johnson got that free film deal before that came out.
That's a good point. I don't know. I don't think the directing was necessarily the worst thing about that film.
No, I think the directing was good in that film.
Yeah.
Very nice shots.
Yeah. What have we got? A Quiet Place 2. Because sequels.
Yeah.
Did you see A Quiet Place?
No, is that the one that was getting like advertised on like
all over the
YouTube and
place.
things with like a silent ad?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, is that one quite a recent film then?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I know the one.
It was pretty good, and it was quite cheap as well. So I mean, sure, John Krasinski directed it, had Emily Blunt and Krasinski himself. They're married, which is cute, and they play a married couple in the film. So.
A nice family film.
It
literally.
is. But I don't think this needs a sequel.
Is he still directing or?
I don't know, but I mean, I guess so because this was kind of his one of his passion projects, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was good, but I feel like when a film does well, they get the wrong idea of it. They think, oh, in that case, let's franchise it immediately, rather than maybe people like this film because it was like an original concept and
yeah.
well written.
Yeah, sometimes a film's best left as just a standalone because then it becomes like, you know, a big thing in the future. It becomes like one of those films to see that was standalone. Then the actors went on to do other original creative things.
Yeah.
It's like you don't look back at, say, again, one I've never seen, but obviously it's the one that always comes up in when people talk that like timeless films, like Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
It's like I'm glad they made Citizen Kane 2 through 5. Really expanded the story or whatever. But sometimes like having one good film and then using it to sell other creative films, like from the director of, from, you know, the people that bought you, blah-de-blah.
Blah-de-blah was a good film though, wasn't it?
I don't know. I think the jury's still out on blah-de-blah. Too pretentious.
So, what else have we got? Shifting towards Marvel kind of stuff. Apparently, finally, Marvel is chatting to some female directors to make a Black Widow movie.
Oh, that'll be cool. That'll be cool. I mean, it's long overdue.
Way overdue. When did we get Black? 2010. Was its first appearance, wasn't it?
Well, it's 10 years of the cinematic universe. It'd been Iron Man 2, I guess, so that 2010 is probably not far off.
About 8 years, yeah. But that's a crazy long time. And she's such a cool character. They went into a bit of detail in Age of Ultron, but I don't know, I feel like that is a movie that just needs to happen.
It'd be a nice, it'd be nice to tell the story. And again, I suppose it'd be another excuse to do a nice, like, spy thrillery one, like Winter Soldier.
Absolutely, yeah. Winter Soldier was great, and because they're chatting to female directors as well, that's going to be great. Like, again, it's just going to diversify the crew. Because, you know, the last season 2 of Jessica Jones was all female directors.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty neat. So yeah, this could be good. I liked her in a film that we will discuss in a bit.
I wonder what it could be. Sure hope the title of this episode doesn't give it away.
I'm talking about Under the Skin, you know, the weird sci-fi one in Scotland. No.
Oh yeah.
Venom. Have you seen the new trailer?
Yes, and it played when I was at the cinema yesterday as well.
Do you care?
Not really.
No, me neither.
I think the most apt analogy I've heard is it's like a Lex Luthor trailer where they're legally not allowed to mention Superman.
Yeah,
It's like, why?
yeah. I mean, it's kind of weird. I don't really know about the vibe of this. Maybe it's a good script, but
To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a script that was almost written for the now far, far in the graveyard Spideyverse that they were trying to do.
right, yeah.
And they were like, well, we spent all this time writing it and doing like
yeah, it was being used as a doorstop in one of the Sony offices.
Hey, what's this?
They were just like, should we make this? Fuck it, why not? But I mean, Tom Hardy turned down Suicide Squad, so I'm sure he's probably got some quite good taste.
I don't know. Well, we'll judge him accordingly, depending on how Venom is. But having to be better than Suicide Squad is quite a low bar.
So
Maybe they'll introduce him 3 different times.
I was going to say, actually, Suicide Squad probably... I don't think it had a script. It wasn't even being used as a doorstop, was it? They just didn't have a script until, like, a week before shooting or whatever.
No, they just basically just shouted at somebody, make a Suicide Squad movie. And then they just had to go do it because that's what the executive said.
So, what do you think of the look of Venom?
To be honest, I don't mind the look. It's like the whole Venom thing at the end, obviously, where Venom comes over Tom Hardy's head and is like, we're Venom.
Yeah.
That looked quite similar to the comics, so I could get behind that.
Yeah.
Like
I think the eyes are a little too small. But then again, they're trying to distinguish it, I guess, from Spidey. Why is this... What is this? Because it says at the beginning of the trailer, in association with Marvel.
So maybe they were just telling them how not to be shit.
But is it MCU? I don't know.
Maybe Marvel are like, if it's good, it's MCU. If it's bad, it's part of that failed Spideyverse thing you're gonna do.
Yeah.
Like, you're not in a position to make demands here, Sony. We own you.
I'm a bit upset because this... I mean, the real reason is that I'm mostly annoyed is because this is potentially killing off any chance of the symbiote suit story arc for Peter Parker.
True.
Which is a good story arc.
It is an interesting one, but then it's one you've got to think, how soon would they really go to that story arc, considering it was only Spider-Man 3 that did it?
I know, but what if this film does well and they kind of keep up the Venom franchise or whatever, and they do Carnage and all that, but without Spider-Man even going near it?
Yeah, I agree. If Venom does well, full stop, it will kind of create a split between the Spidey properties that Marvel can use and Sony can use, won't it? Because they won't want to be duplicating.
I'm really surprised this thing is going ahead because, like, Marvel as a studio is so careful about, like, not muddling up the continuities and whatnot.
Yeah.
Because even when things are like the Netflix series aren't really related to the films, but like you get the odd like tie-in and the odd mention that just reminds you it's the same continuity.
Yeah.
Like this seems like where DC is, where it's got like 4 different universes, like live action universes at the same time.
Well, it's not quite that bad. All we'd end up with is the MCU and Venom.
Yeah. I don't know. I really want to. I want them to do at some point the symbiote suit on Spider-Man because that's just. Did you ever watch Spectacular Spider-Man?
No.
They nailed the whole black suit thing in that. Like, there was like a really cool fight sequence where Spidey took on the Sinister Six with the black suit, and like where Spider-Man's usually quipping and stuff. Like the black suit Spidey just wasn't saying anything, and all the villains were like, "Oh, you're not so chatty today. What's up with you?" And he just takes them all out. And Peter Parker wakes up the next morning like with bruises. Like, what the hell happened last night? So it's like it shows like the effect on him like, from the suit and stuff really well.
Yeah,
it's such a cool like I don't know. It's Peter Parker's darkness, especially when we've got such a good Spider-Man at the moment as well.
Yeah,
like,
no, Tom Holland is real good.
Like he's perfectly optimistic. He's just like he's so innocent and he's just fantastic and. Yeah, this is a frustrating Sony.
Yeah, you want the film on one hand you want the film to do well, But on the other hand, you kind of hope it fails.
Yeah.
The true definition of cynical optimists.
No, I think I'm mostly cynical. I want it to fail spectacularly.
You want it to fail spectacularly, Spider-Man.
Hey. Very nice.
Thank you. I'm here all week.
Speaking of... Wait, how do I tie this in? Speaking of Sony, who own some Marvel characters still, Fox owns some Marvel characters still, and they own Deadpool. And the director of Deadpool 2 is going to be directing the Division movie, which is a movie adaptation of a game.
Ah, yes. That's Tom Clancy's thing, isn't it?
That's the one. Wasn't that my best segue yet?
Oh, yeah. No. Because we usually have a Link story, but this week we both have Link stories.
Mine was terrible. I'm sorry.
It's all right. You'll get to compare to mine in a minute. Which...
I should have just said I'm going to pre-order the Spider-Man PS4 game. That's a better Link.
Well, you've wasted it now.
I know. I'm probably going to pre-order the Spider-Man PS4 game, by the way, guys. It looks really good. And if you order now, you get a certain suit which appears in a certain movie that we'll be talking about later. Did it again.
You did it again. Just keep on spoiling things.
So yeah, if you get now, you get the suit that Spidey wears in Infinity War.
Anyway, back to your news story.
I'm not interested about The Division. I've never played it, but
was it just a link to me?
Yeah, but David Leitch is a good director. He did Atomic Blonde as well, which was really good, and John Wick.
So that's quite a high-profile director to be taking up the challenge of making a video game movie good. So who knows?
Yeah, and Deadpool 2 looks really good as well. So
I mean, it's based on a video game that's you could basically make a generic action movie out of. So
yeah,
what could go wrong?
Good on him.
Good stuff. So anyway, speaking of video game movies, video game TV shows.
Nice.
So my link goes from your link, but yeah, so you've heard of The Witcher, right?
The Witcher.
The Witcher.
Isn't it stylized with 2 V's?
No.
Oh,
I don't think so.
I think I'm thinking of The Vitch. You know, sometimes to make it look older, they like stylize it with like... Oh, okay, yeah, I'm thinking of the Witch. You know, they stylize it with like old E letters, and it's like 2 V's instead of a dot. Anyway, sorry, carry on.
Anyway, I think we might have even talked about it last year, but that's getting a Netflix series because The Witcher the game is actually based off the Witcher books, but the game takes very little from the books, but the TV show is adapting the game, so... But that is going to be 8 episodes, and it's going to be coming probably in 2020. The showrunner for it, somebody who's going to be working on it, not sure if they're showrunner yet, but is Lauren S. Hisrich, who has written for both Daredevil and The Defenders for Netflix.
Oh.
And so she was talking about it, and she says that they're working on the pilot at the moment, but she wants to get real good polish on it and doesn't want to kind of rush it.
Nice.
So that is because The Witcher, I've only ever played The Witcher 3, but that's a very story-driven game. Like, even the side quests have, like, full stories to them and, like, full world building.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a very, very deep well for making, like, a series out of, as long as, like, they do it well, almost.
I think I've seen
as all...
some, like, gameplay and stuff from it, and it does look really good.
Because it's kind of a fantasy medieval setting, obviously, with Game of Thrones ending. There's going to be, like, a gap for another show like that to come through, and...
Apart from the Lord of the Rings Amazon series, that's there too.
Oh, yeah, well... You'll get some types of nerd going for the Lord of the Rings, some types of nerd going for The Witcher, I guess.
And all those Game of Thrones spin-off series as well that they're going to do. How many have they got? Like 5?
Well, fine, maybe there isn't a gap in the market, but they're doing it anyway.
There's absolutely no gap in the market.
So yeah, that's kind of... That will be coming. Actually, I'd be interested to see that, just because the world of The Witcher is quite interesting, and obviously the Witchers are like monster hunters, so...
Nice.
Could be quite a good kind of action scenes and like sword fighting sequences with like other human characters.
Yeah.
But so now kind of moving down my list of news. So before I go into proper gaming news in earnest, I'm going to talk about some internet news instead, because we have all types here. But I was talking to you a bit about this before, but have you actually looked up much about the Channel Awesome controversy that's been going on since about the beginning of this month?
No, other than what you've told me about it in brief.
So basically, and to be honest, I wasn't really aware of a lot of this before the controversy came up. I just thought Channel Awesome was the nostalgia critic, who's a popular YouTube.
Well, it's the only ones. It's the only ones I've
reviewer.
ever watched that have been the nostalgia critic ones.
And that's mostly because the Channel Awesome YouTube page only ever has his stuff on it, because there's been a long history of it being on YouTube, then not, then on the Channel Awesome website, but not on YouTube, and now it's coming back again.
Right.
And that's all been kind of synced up with the rise and fall of like the revenue sharing sites and the adpocalypse and lots of different things that have been affecting how internet creators can make their money.
Yeah.
But Channel Awesome, the website, is a collection of kind of producers, and all it really is somewhere that they post their videos as well as YouTube. But because people were going there anyway, especially a few years ago, to see Nostalgia Critic, it helped shine some light on, some newer, different producers.
Yeah.
But they seem to have a weird structure, because they were all technically like subcontracted to Channel Awesome, and they kind of worked for them in inverted commas, but they kind of had to make their own videos, but they had to make a certain number of videos to a schedule dictated by Channel. It was very strange. I don't really get it.
Yeah.
It seems like they wanted to make a production house, but didn't want any of the responsibility, so they just ended up with a halfway production house.
Yeah, that's weird. So everyone who works is like kind of contracted to them rather than.
Yeah, and they make their money off making their own videos, and they just get like spread on Channel Awesome as well.
Right.
It just gives them the ability to appear in like the crossover movies that they've done a few of, and like they do crossovers with Nostalgia Critic and each other, and it was a bit, to be honest, I still don't particularly understand the setup, but it was a good way, I guess, to, if you're a new content creator, to get more publicity.
Yeah.
Because obviously it was the idea of a collective audience and a community, and that's quite good.
Yeah.
But anyway, at the beginning of this month, stories started coming out from people who used to work there of just all kinds of allegations, about the worst ones being like sexual harassment and things like that happening through their kind of Skype, which they use to communicate with each other.
Oh, classic.
Yeah, they're all classic. There's poor communication from the people who run Channel Awesome, which is the Nostalgia Critic and his brother and another guy called Mike Michaud, I think you pronounce it.
Right.
But Mike actually owns a large part of the Nostalgia Critic IP, because I believe what the deal was when they were creating the company was that Doug and Rob, who do Nostalgia Critic, wanted to have like the website and all like the structure, but couldn't be asked to actually do the management side.
Yeah.
So that was like the deal they brokered. But it's just been his constant mismanagement that's coming to light. I'm probably not doing these kind of allegations justice, but there's stuff like as well on one of the big crossovers they shot with everyone, they didn't have enough water and they didn't get like food, and they were like shooting for like hours and hours.
Oh.
Which, as somebody who does shoot yourself, Nick, you can probably appreciate it's quite bad.
Yeah, literally, that's like disorganisation especially with like talent and trying to get them fed and drank and stuff. It's like one of the most important bits about filmmaking. Like,
yeah, and they're just kind of, in a way, lots of allegations of feeling like they're treated like free labour, but the bad bit comes from how Channel Awesome have responded.
Oh god.
So first, they put out a statement, basically, like kind of acknowledging what's the allegations, but they, rather than apologise, the words they used exactly were, "We sincerely regret you felt that way."
Yeah, that's not blame shifting at all, is it?
No. So producers that work and had their stuff posted on Channel Awesome basically just started leaving. I think almost everyone has left now.
Yeah.
Apart from one creator who was just, he wasn't going to stay, but he just wanted to be the last person to leave. Like, I've never seen any of his stuff, but it just made me laugh how he was just like, yeah, I'm going to leave, but I want to just, ride this one out for a little while. And in fact, now that everyone's left and he was like the last person to go, he's now got in his Twitter bio, survivor of the first annual Channel Awesome Hunger Games. Which obviously is making light of quite a serious situation, but I did find it quite funny that someone was kind of having a bit of fun with it amongst all the seriousness that was happening.
Why are these like online content creators such douchebags sometimes?
I think it's because they kind of just started making stuff for the love of it, which obviously is understandable. But then when it started scaling up, none of them really know how to manage it.
Yeah, but you're saying there's like allegations of sexual abuse, harassment.
Oh, that's
just
just people being dicks. And the thing is,
we had Andy Signor as well last year, didn't we, from Screen Junkies and.
Yeah, and I think that's also a sign. That is also like kind of management turning a blind eye to things, which is just like people not. I don't want to let them off by saying it's people not knowing how to deal with things, but that is essentially it in a way. Is that they need to be better at kind of being managers if they're going to be bringing people together. When allegations come like this have to come up, they have to take them seriously.
Yeah,
which is just basic things if you want to do it. That's kind of part of scale up of a company, is that you need to have the proper systems in place.
Absolutely.
For the safeguard of your employees. It's just basic stuff. So anyway, then after more allegations, there was a second bad rebuttal from Channel Awesome, where they choice selected a few of the allegations and basically refuted them with stuff that wasn't really refuting them, and basically were like, well, if those are refuted, then all of them are refuted. So they're still not apologising, and they're even acknowledging that some of them, a lot of it happened, but they were just like being incredibly defensive instead.
Yeah.
So now I think it is just Doug, Rob Walker that are like left now. Right. Although there's rumours that they might be leaving as well, but that's very, very much rumours, because obviously Nostalgia Critic episodes are still going up on the channel, so they're clearly, like, even if there is a backlog, there's still clearly something going on.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was a nice jolly news story to start us off. Now, on to my next jolly news story, 90-hour work weeks. So this was a developer called Neocore that are developing a Warhammer 40k game, and they had to announce recently that the game was delayed. So in kind of announcing it, they said, sorry for this, as we kindly ask for your further patience, and hopefully it won't be a deal breaker for any of you. In return, we'll push this extra 3 weeks in 90 plus hours per week, so it'll be very, very useful. And people responded very negatively to that, because 90-hour work weeks aren't very good.
No, I wouldn't do that. I'd do about a third of that.
Because, well, the thing is, in video games there is, well, I suppose in a lot of creative industries there is the crunch right before something comes out to get it out the door.
Yeah.
But basically a lot of people have come out saying, one such person is Josh Sawyer, who was a writer for Fallout New Vegas, who said that 90-hour work weeks are unproductive and dumb, which is very true. And since then, the developers come out saying it was a joke. Obviously, it's not really.
No, it's basically slavery at that point, isn't it?
Yeah, and they're saying, like, obviously after the crunch, people can get the time back and stuff like that, but people have looked into it. They've got a long history of, like, giving updates about delays with the kind of added caveat that, don't worry, they'll be working 80, 90-hour weeks from now. So it's either a joke that's just not sticking and they're trying to make it over and over.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, is something that I've done before. Or it is just a true statement that they're trying to backstep from, which is more likely. Yeah, so that's just a game developer being a bit... Because, just don't work 90-hour weeks. I don't know about you, but, productivity goes down after a certain number of hours working.
Exactly. Especially when it gets to, you're just coming in and it's just, it's a real chore to get on with just keep going, it's not gonna.
Like, if you're worn out, you're not going to be as productive as if you've had a good night's rest.
No.
Like, it's very, very simple. Like, I think that was one of the things I had to learn during my degree, is that some days it's better to, like, take a break and then come back and be more productive, and I'd actually end up getting more done.
I think as much as well as getting more done, it's like, to get something to its highest quality, you have to have the time between seeing it. If you don't have the time to step back and look at it as a whole, like, it's not. I don't know. It's just not going to be as, like, impressive when you see the whole thing.
Yeah,
you know
and
what I mean? It's like, well,
yeah.
when I've made films and stuff before, if I'm just editing till the publishing date, and I haven't had the time to step back and then re-watch it after a bit of time, then I'm not even going to notice the mistakes and the flaws and stuff in it.
No, I always try and get a video done. If it's if it's a scripted video, you know.
Yeah.
Like, get it done a few days before I want it to go live, and then re-watch it closer to the time. Because even if the rendering's gone a bit wrong, I'll have to do it again. And I think that's one of the things that gets defended too much in the games industry, just being part of the culture, and it doesn't really need to be.
Yeah.
Like, just be more conservative with your release date predictions, and just don't over-promise and then under-deliver.
No, exactly, yeah.
So that concludes the fascinating news story that 90-hour work weeks are bad. Join us next week on the Cynical Optimists for our headlines, Sky is Blue. And nice things are nice, but mean things are mean. So the next story actually goes back to... It's going to feel like we are doing a winter episode again, because it's all about Star Wars Battlefront 2 and all the trouble it's caused.
You know, I've now owned this game for several months.
Well, this is more about kind of the wider conversation it's kind of caused to happen about loot boxes.
Yeah.
Because obviously Star Wars Battlefront 2 had them taken out, and although they're meant to be going back in, it's like the view of politicians around the world and legislators is now looking at video games because of the mess it made, basically.
Yeah.
So, a little while ago, it was the Netherlands that did an investigation and has actually decreed that video games with loot boxes are gambling, and because gambling is illegal in the Netherlands, those video games are now illegal.
Oh.
And the story from this week is that Belgium have just done the same.
Really?
They looked at 4 games. They looked at Overwatch, FIFA 18, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, and Star Wars Battlefront 2. And Star Wars Battlefront 2 was the only one that they did not constitute to be gambling, because at the time the loot boxes were switched off.
Yeah. Well, even now, I think when they do bring it back, it's only because I've done the update and whatnot, and I think the only time it's going to be relevant is for it's for just like appearances and costumes and silly things like that, which are also unlockable by doing the time challenges.
Yeah.
So I think they've pretty much cleared it up with Battlefront.
And to be honest, that's kind of better, because that's kind of almost bringing it in line with, say, a trading card game.
Right, yeah.
Where if you really want that card, you can just outright buy that card for a different means.
Yeah.
But the trading cards themselves, and I think this is something that will probably come in the future, but obviously the Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards we used to get when we were kids, those actually legally have to have the chances of you getting certain rarities of card on the packet.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff might be happening for loot boxes to give you the actual probabilities of certain drops.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing. I think that's just common sense. I think if the Netherlands and Belgium want to do that, that might be enough to start making companies think twice before including them. Because that's then an entire market that they can't sell in if they have them. And it's whether they'd produce 2 different versions of the same game. One with and one without, but then that also seems like it'd be opening up quite a big slew of problems, like people importing the Netherlands version just so they don't have to deal with it. And stuff like that. So it's quite interesting to like follow. And at the end of the day, I'll say what I think I've said before, which is at the end of the day, games, a game that has something like that in it should just be an immediate 18.
Yeah.
because that is the gambling age in the UK.
Yeah.
And whilst the UK has some... Well, obviously gambling's legal here. You see it advertised every time sport is on. That would be another thing that made people think twice, because at the end of the day, an adult can make those decisions, but you hear all these stories about kids on their parents' iPads spending tons of money, and you just think it's going to be the same kind of thing, but almost worse in a way, because they're kind of trying to get a specific thing through the chances and the putting in money. And that is bringing back to the analogy for gambling.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And so it's definitely more than the ESRB. Do you know the ESRB? The Electronic Software Ratings Board. It's the American kind of game labelling. They give the age ratings.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, so when you see
do you know how they solve the problem?
No, go on.
So now games will be labelled if they have in-game purchases, and that's basically what they decided.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't think that's too bad a solution. I mean, like it ultimately. I mean, most of the time it's the parents that like monitor the spending anyway of anyone sort of young enough to not realise they're gambling. But I don't know.
Yeah. But then that's anything from DLC to microtransactions to loot boxes.
Yeah. To
even on a free version of a game, if you had to pay to take away the ads, that would technically count.
Yeah.
So it's not really it's not really very detailed. So yeah, any thoughts on that, Nick?
Don't gamble.
Well said.
Yeah.
So this is God damn it, I'm just getting tongue-tied today. First podcast of a new run, clearly. So this is the discussion that has been forced after EA pushed the concept too far in last year's Star Wars Battlefront 2. Are loot boxes gambling? This obviously happened after they designed the game to be a grind for anyone unwilling to pay for the extras. Anyway, rumours are that the Electronic Software Ratings Board, fresh off the back of their decisive labelling as all in-game purchases as being the same, regardless of the details, are moving on to label food, helping people with allergies by including the label contains ingredients on all relevant products. And so, this has been quite a long news segment so far, but I've still got quite a few stories.
Oh, blimey.
Yeah, we're going to go over an hour today. Sorry, folks. Well, you can see that from the time.
I feel we'll be well over an hour because there's a film I want to discuss in a bit, Phil. If that's okay with you.
So
just a certain little film that's just come out.
The other news from this week is quite well. This one's kind of interesting, but I'm not sure what you think. But the Sims developers in Sims 4. There was a trait known as insane, and that was kind of the likelihood of a sim to do like random things and talk to themselves and stuff like that.
Brilliant.
And in the last update, that was quietly renamed to erratic.
Yes, well, I thought as much.
Yeah, so...
Because that seems a little insensitive, doesn't it?
Yeah, and also it doesn't really seem like the fun wackiness of The Sims compared to like other ways they describe things. So bear in mind this is only a word change. The icon is still a person in a straitjacket.
Amazing.
Yeah, so that was just something that quietly happened, but Kotaku reported on it, and I was like, that's kind of odd.
I can't wait
because I haven't played a Sims game since the second one.
I can't wait
and that was never a thing back then.
I can't wait for the mental illness DLC they'll release inevitably.
Yeah. We're very sorry for referring to the trait as insanes. This will be fixed in the Sims 4 Looney Bin expansion. No, that's terrible. Other news. Have you ever played The Binding of Isaac?
No, but wait, hang on. We've spoken about this before, haven't we?
I think it's come up before. I've played a bit of it before.
Right, yeah.
But its prequel, titled The Legend of Bumbo, is coming this year. And that's a story completely included in my news because they thought The Legend of Bumbo was a good name for a game. And it's kind of because the regular Binding of Isaac is more based off the old top-down Zelda games.
Mm-hmm.
This is more based off Paper Mario, so it actually looks quite interesting.
Okay, was it like side scroller?
As in, like, it's kind of like the papery aesthetic as well. Of like,
Huh.
It looks flat.
Wait, let me have a quick look. What's it called? Bumbo.
Legend of Bumbo.
Legend of Bumbo.
So that's BUM-BO.
Oh, it does look quite cool though.
Yeah, no, it's got a nice aesthetic to it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, well, we might hear more about it at E3. But
Although
yeah,
the
it's
main
got a funny
character
name.
does also look a bit like a bum.
Huh.
It's very pale and circular. Huh. Well, no, that could be fun.
Yeah. So we've got. I'm not sure if this was a story in last year's podcast, but this kind of almost links back to the Channel Awesome stuff. But did I ever talk about Quantic Dream? It was basically a developer where a French publication reported on a lot of the same kind of stuff that you always hear, like sexual harassment, bullying,
Right.
that kind of thing was going on at the studio. It's a studio run by David Cage, who's quite a big person in the game industry. He's made quite a lot of more story-based games.
Just stop it.
Well, this is the thing. They it's been reported this was Kotaku again. They bumped into somebody from Quantic Dream, and they're actually suing the French publication for the story because they still deny the charges.
Right.
And the thing is, usually when people say they're going to sue in response, it's just, posturing and fear-mongering. But they're actually going through with it, so...
Really?
Yeah, so that'll be an interesting one, because it obviously creates the impression that clearly there's some muddy water there.
Yeah.
And they definitely seem sure of their innocence enough that they're going to be obviously fighting it in court. So have to see how that one comes out. Sonic. I know how much you love Sonic.
Not true.
No?
He's alright.
Yeah, that's some story whiplash there, going straight from Quantic Dream to Sonic Mania Plus.
Oh.
Sonic Mania, of course, being the only good Sonic game from like the last 10 years, is absolutely getting an expansion and a collector's edition and 2 new playable characters from a Sonic game that probably only the fans recognise them from. But the thing is, I do like about Sonic Mania, and I'm not sure if you'd have seen these, is I do like the animations they do for it, like the very simplistic, like the opening intro and the trailer for this.
Let's have a look. What's it called?
Sonic Mania Plus.
Sonic Mania Plus.
Like, I like the art style of their trailers and things, and I do just find it funny that that some fans have just been making a far more successful Sonic game than Sonic Team.
Right.
Because this is all fan-made, and
Really?
Sega are just, licensing it and releasing it.
Yeah, it looks good.
And then
What's the platform for this?
It's on loads of stuff. It's on PC, Steam.
Oh, right.
Oh, obviously Steam is PC, but Switch, PS4, Xbox One, I think.
Oh. Yeah, it looks good.
But apparently it's a real good game, and this is kind of like the expansion coming for it with new levels, new characters and stuff, which is not unexpected given its success, but that'll be out in July. So that's been July 17th is the release date for that.
Nice. Good on him.
Suppose if you just wanted to play Sonic Mania not Plus, then that's out now.
Nice. He does alright, doesn't he, that Sonic?
Running around at the speed of sound.
He does that.
So, now, Nintendo.
I know of them.
The Nintendo of Japan is getting a new chief exec. The old one, whose name escapes me, but I think I have the story here somewhere, is standing down after... He's only been in the job 3 years, but he took after Satoru Iwata sadly passed away 3 years ago. And this is part of a wider turnaround of staff that Nintendo are doing to get some of their younger talent into more higher up positions.
Okay, yeah.
Which I think is a really good sign.
Absolutely. I really like where Nintendo have been going like the last couple of years actually. Like,
oh yeah, they've just registered like massive profits for the last year.
good. Yeah,
Like,
they've definitely modernised a lot in the last couple of years.
and I think that's possibly what's motivating this drive to try and get kind of some of the clearly talented people they've got that are a bit younger and can possibly freshen things up a bit into positions where they've got the influence to, which is really, really good.
Yeah.
So going along riding this Nintendo wave, the new Smash Bros will be one of the main focuses from Nintendo at E3. We haven't seen much of it apart from its reveal trailer. And we might actually be talking about it on the podcast at some point. We're not confirmed at the moment. But that's quite nice, because they did that for the last Smash, and they had, like, players on, and it's the best way to show off a game is to have lots of streaming of it. So that also tells me that they're going to announce at least a few new characters, and probably quite a lot of the old ones, just so they've got stuff to show off. And Nintendo have always focused, well, over the last few years, have focused more on their live streams of, like, actual gameplay footage at E3.
Yeah.
Which has been a real good way to be like, this is actually the game playing. This isn't just a trailer.
This isn't just a cinematic trailer rendered by a completely different studio.
Yeah, this is actually the game running.
Yeah, nice.
And finally, you know all about Nintendo Labo, don't you?
Maybe. Remind me?
The cardboard.
No.
Have you not seen anything about this?
I don't think so.
Basically, Nintendo were bored one day and decided they wanted to literally sell something ridiculous. So the Nintendo Labo is are accessories for your Switch, literally that you make out of cardboard.
Amazing.
You buy the sets and you fold them into different shapes, and then your Switch can interact with them. And they're really cool. Like, one of them is a piano. Like, you make a piano out of cardboard, the Switch screen goes in the middle, the controllers go up the sides, and it plays like a piano.
I mean, sure.
I mean, it's completely off its nuts crazy. But that's Nintendo.
Yeah.
Like, another one is like a fishing game, and you, like, can craft a fishing rod out
throw
of the
your
cardboard.
Switch into a pond, and it will catch fish for you.
The electric shocks from it slowly dying.
Like that scene in the Simpsons movie.
Yeah, and the fish just float to the surface.
Incredible.
But that actually, in Japan, in its first week, outsold the new God of War game. So,
wow.
This is obviously Sony PlayStation. Obviously, they do things quite seriously, and they've got their own line of IPs. Like, we've been spending ages and ages working on this new God of War game. Here it is for you all. And the Japanese public were like, but cardboard! I can use my Switch as a jetpack. And that just made me laugh.
That's incredible. That's incredible. I love that.
Yeah, it's literally Nintendo can apparently sell anything. And talking of selling anything, this is the last story, so yeah, lots of news this week. Don't worry, I'm sure next week we'll just get a drought and there'll be nothing. But you know how we love our weird products on this podcast?
We do.
Like the Mega Man cookie jar that looked like an urn.
Yes.
Well, this is Sega Saturn scales. So they're weighing scales shaped like a Sega Saturn.
Let me look. Scales.
For if you've ever dreamed of standing on a console.
Sega scales. I'm not getting any search results. What are they called?
I can send it to you over Skype just quickly.
Go on. I need to see this.
But this one just stood out as like, why? Why would you possibly buy? Who wanted this?
What? They didn't even.
It's just a Sega Saturn. Well, it's a set of scales that look like a Sega Saturn.
It's not even a very interesting looking console, is it?
No. It's just if you've ever dreamed.
You sent that photo, and I literally thought that was just a picture of regular scales.
Like, yeah.
Wow. Console inspired body scales. Well, that is.
Oh, here's something from looking at the news story again. the official English language description: Sega Saturn represented a leap into the new age of entertainment. Body composition monitor changed the way people manage their health. This is a collaboration item between Sega and Tanita. Let's go forward together. Karede game had dekenayo, which is Japanese for "you cannot play a game with this. You can, however, stand on it." Wait, no, that was the article. That they just meant you cannot play a game on this.
Wow.
In case you were wondering whether you could play Sega Saturn games on your weighing scales.
Oh, classic story there, Phil. That's going to sound really jarring, isn't it?
Yeah, basically we just had some technical issues, so you'll probably just hear
That was the
either
most unnatural lead back in.
So you're just going to hear a little cut, and then it'll just be Nick laughing, or a little beep or something.
Can you leave a massive gap and then just me maniacally laughing the way back in?
No, we'll just leave it all in, including the bit where I'm just talking to myself because I can't talk to you. Where I'm like, well, good thing we don't record live.
Yeah, good old Sega. That's what we're talking. Sega scales. Good old Sega scales.
Yep. Nailed it.
Have we got a lead in to the next segment?
So, on the subject of scales, the universal scale is being tipped by a brand new evil in the motion picture titled The Avengers: Infinity War. And now we're going to talk about it.
Yes, we are.
Spoiler free for probably about 10-15 minutes, and then, or maybe less, but we'll warn you before we go.
Yeah. There'll be time codes underneath as well, or in the description, or in the thumbnail even. There'll be so many time codes. You'll be spoiled for time codes.
Yeah, there'll be no excuses for you hearing spoilers.
Don't hear spoilers for this. You don't want spoilers for this.
No.
Avoid them at all costs.
No, I respect Marvel's campaign of Thanos demand your silence to try and get people to not spoil it.
Me too. Phil, you're editing. No, you're editing this week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I can't believe when.
Oh, you bastard!
Hopefully he's bleeped that, but yeah, we'll definitely warn you. We'll keep warning you when there's about to be a spoiler.
I'm literally writing down what you just said, because otherwise I'll forget to take it out.
I'm very tired. Also, I manage a cinema as well, and as my job, and I've worked a couple of late screenings of this week. But you know what? I'm in such a vibe about it. It's I'm not gonna beat around the bush. I thought it was really good.
No, I thought it was really good. I thought it, considering everything that had to happen in the film, really, it did a really good job of balancing everything.
Yeah, like every character I feel got like a cool moment, a funny moment, an emotional moment. Like it balanced it incredibly well.
Yeah, and there was character interactions in it that I just wanted to see, and I got them, so I was quite happy.
Yeah.
And it kind of brought all the different, I guess, the different worlds together quite naturally as well.
Well, because it was like, it's probably one of the best payoffs I've seen in a long time, because it's so well established where everyone is or like has been by this point, and it ties in several things that it's just so incredibly well set up.
Yeah, it might be one of my favourite crossovers.
It's not even exaggerating when you see all the marketing material going on about how like this is the season finale, if you like, of 10 years of Marvel films, because it really does, like, obscure references from like years ago are sort of brought back up. And this is like, I would say the biggest thing about this film is it's incredibly rewarding if you've put the work in and kept up to date with it.
Yeah. And it's helped definitely by, like you say, a real tight script where everyone kind of gets their moment.
Yeah.
And just really good action as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. And it's like, there was a lot of pressure on this film, and I was genuinely like is this going to work? Like, this much stuff going on, but yeah, it's a tight script. B, it's quite good, fast-paced editing, and action sequences are quite frequent. And C, it doesn't. Okay, this film doesn't necessarily. No, this film may have too many characters in it for a standalone film, but it works because of where everyone is in this universe.
Yeah, and everyone's quite grouped up as well.
Yeah,
so
and assuming you have kept up to date and you've watched all the others and all of the separate franchises, then this absolutely doesn't feel overstuffed. I feel like as it stands, if you've only watched the Avengers films, I feel it's not going to be as successful. But
even then, if you only watch the Avengers films, you've already had 2 films where you just had to kind of accept stuff as it comes.
That's true. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but no, this did a really good job, and like I was impressed with how the Russo brothers dealt with the scale of it, because I was saying like Civil War is not one of my favorite Marvel films, because I feel, I don't know, the kind of weird, shaky, like quick cut action scenes, like they don't really give it much scale, and visually it wasn't that interesting. Whereas this, he handled the galactic stuff, and they handled like the big characters and the big CGI set pieces really well, I thought.
Yeah, and everyone's abilities are very much on full display, so it gives nice variety.
Yeah.
Obviously, this isn't really going into spoilers, because obviously it's kind of in the trailer, and also Doctor Strange's been out for a while, but his kind of abilities get used very well.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel it dealt with every character because obviously these directors and the writers understand and have watched all of these films as well, and they know exactly how these characters should interact.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this was possibly my favourite Avengers film.
Ooh, it's definitely better than Age of Ultron for me.
Yeah.
It's, to be honest, like, I think that's the thing. After I left the cinema, I was actually quite quiet for a while. I went to see it with friends.
Yeah.
And the 2 of us on the train on the way back, I was like telling them what we were recording today, and he was like, "I'm glad, aren't you glad you're recording tomorrow? Because I'm not sure I could talk about the film right now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna you need to sleep on it."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, that's very true."
This is like, yeah, it's a stunning film, like, and it's really not a generic film as well. I don't want to spoil too much, but like in terms of like the structuring and the editing and in lots of ways, it's not your standard. Yeah, I'm not going to say too much, but it's not your standard Avengers superhero film.
Yeah, it hits the ground running, I found as well, but at the same time, it does give those moments for people to chat and for the actual, the levity between the action set pieces.
Yeah.
Which I think was very well balanced, because in a film like that, I was just a bit worried that it was just going to either be all action or a lot of, the kind of talking, joking, kind of more character-driven parts, and then the action was going to feel rushed as a result.
Yeah, or maybe because it could go too far in the jokes, and it might not have the same levity as you expect.
Yeah, because I know that was obviously a criticism that was levelled at The Last Jedi, was that some of the jokes just were a bit out of place.
Yeah. But this, I feel, it did balance it really well in terms of all the characters get. I think all the characters get at least a couple of quips, and all the characters get a heroic moment, and all the characters get quite an emotional moment, and I would say there aren't many characters. Again, because it's a big action scale film, it doesn't have the chance to give many characters an arc. But I would say, without spoiling it, Thanos is possibly one of the only characters in this with an arc.
I don't know, not for spoilers, but Groot has an arc.
Groot? I wouldn't agree with that necessarily.
I'll go into that on when we talk spoilers, but
Groot's great.
It's definitely yeah. But no, to be honest though, I don't think it's too much spoilers, so that Thanos gets a lot of development.
He does, and
And-
I guess that's kind of because they've said it as well in interviews and stuff that this is kind of told from Thanos' point of view. And
Yeah.
do you think? Well, I mean, I would say it does that quite successfully. Would you say it solves Marvel's villain problem?
In a way, yeah. Like, you can, because there's enough time spent developing him and his motivations.
Yeah.
He doesn't just seem like bad guy do bad thing because bad.
No, exactly.
Like, you-
yeah.
Like, within a few short scenes of exposition,
He's
you
not
kind
like
of get
he's not like
the
a
point.
cackling evil guy, is he?
No.
He's very well written and he's actually very well acted.
Yeah, he wasn't acted as... I was expecting him to be a bit more...
Campy
Just
villain.
outright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because
but
they
he's-
even okay, it's not really a spoiler, but they cut a line from the trailer, didn't they? Because in the trailer he's all like, "I'm going to enjoy doing this" kind of thing, and I don't think that
Yeah.
made it through to the actual film.
No, I don't think that was in the theatrical cut.
No.
It's probably the better for it.
Yeah. Again, that's not really a spoiler. I just want to emphasize, but Thanos is surprisingly well developed.
Yeah. No, we'll talk about that more on the spoiler side of things.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, shall we give a numerical score and then go spoilers?
Numerical score. Yeah, that's a tough one. Ooh. Is there anything else we can talk about non-spoiler?
The soundtrack's very good.
Yes. Again, I would say let's go through each character, but there are too many of them.
Yeah, and also there is only one post-credit scene right at the end for those that are interested in that.
Any characters just stand out for you?
I like. I think Iron Man gets a lot of good combat because of his new suit.
I would say Thor and Chris Hemsworth specifically is probably one of the best actors, maybe.
Oh yeah, he gets quite an interesting role to play.
Because I think it's weird, isn't it? Because like Thor, Avengers, Age of Ultron, and Thor 2, like I'd never been that interested in Thor, but like the last two movies, like Ragnarok and this, I feel like he's really come along as a character.
Yeah, no, I like him a lot more. Well, the thing is, I always liked him, but now it's like he's gone up in my ranking because he's just like he's had some better things to be doing.
Yeah, exactly. But like I don't know, the writing has improved for him so much with like these really skilled writers and directors. But like there's a bit, it's not a spoiler. There's a bit where he's talking, he's talking to another character and like he's saying something that should be ridiculous. He's saying like, I've defeated so many enemies and whatnot, but it sounds like ridiculous dialogue, but like Hemsworth absolutely like sells it.
Oh yeah,
And
you can tell he's used to that kind of thing by now.
You believe him as like a god who's also got like issues, and man, he can do the funny stuff and the emotional stuff super well.
Yeah.
I think Thor stood out for me in this. Plus that haircut, very handsome man, isn't he?
Sure.
Should we? Okay. Numerical score.
Yeah. Obviously, numerical scores don't mean much, but this will give our feelings, I guess.
I'm gonna go out of 100.
Out of 100?
Yeah, because I'm gonna say. Oh, well, let's just go out of 10, but I'm using decimal points as well.
Yeah, sure, that makes more sense.
8.9.
Ooh, that's very, very close to where I've been thinking, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I didn't consider decimal points. I only was considering halves.
Right, yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I was torn between an 8.5 and a 9.
Nice. So, yeah.
So I'm going to say probably 8.9 as well.
That hasn't happened before,
the first time
has
we've
it?
agreed. No, we never agreed.
No. Like, Last Jedi was, like, wildly different. Justice League was pretty different.
So anyway, we're going to go into the spoiler conversation now. So if you're leaving us at this point, thank you for listening. Join us next week for another new episode of the Cynical Optimists, where we'll be pitching movies based on various games, either video games, board games, or even childhood games. And I think that's going to be quite a fun episode.
Because it's not just video games which I haven't played.
Oh, if you don't know what it is, you have to guess. If you want to follow the podcast, it's at Cynical Podcast on Twitter. There's also 2 full Let's Plays now on the channel you can watch through, plus 32 old episodes of the Cynical Optimists. Yeah, follow me on at haddowinc if you want to see my personal tweeting, although I don't tweet very often. Nick, what do you have to plug?
Surprisingly enough, I've got another short film in development. That's not going to be done till like next year. Don't even worry about that. You can follow me on Twitter at Mortimer. What else have I got? If anyone wants to buy an Apple Watch, I've swapped to Android, so just at me. I'm selling an old MacBook as well. And if anyone wants to buy any tech, I've got a load I'm selling.
Cool.
That's not what I was here to do. I'm sorry.
No, I guess that's what you're plugging.
You said
this
plug
week.
something.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you very much for listening. We're going to now talk spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Can you believe that Thanos is Tony Stark from the future?
I know, right? It's when he starts shriveling and going purple. I was like, ooh.
You're like, the prophecy is being fulfilled.
Yeah.
Just like that old woman told Thor. Anyway, that was for anyone who didn't actually leave. Now actual proper spoilers. Like the one that I had to beep out earlier.
Which was the surprisingly emotional death of Loki.
Yeah.
Which actually got me quite a bit, because I don't know, it's the last, again, it's the last couple of films have really like cemented him as a character for me.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't like him as much near the beginning, but now I like him a lot more, and I'm obviously I'm quite sad that he's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, if any of the deaths in Infinity War don't get undone in the next one.
I'm almost certain Loki's death is a definite. I think that was like an ultimate establishing point for Thanos as a character. And it's like I went silent in the cinema. Everyone went silent in the cinema, because it's not like a Marvel big bright laser death, or like a blade with no blood or anything like that. It is just Thanos just picks him up and strangles him to death. Yeah,
no, it's proper brutal.
It's brutal, and like
it sets the tone for the film.
Absolutely,
basically.
I was genuinely stunned, because even that entire opening sequence after like the upbeat events of Ragnarok, and then suddenly it's just like, oh, that Asgard ship is dead, like, and Loki is dead. Like, I can't imagine it's a trick or anything like that. I can't imagine it's going to be undone, because he just picks him up and his legs are flailing about. It's brutal.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Even at the very, very beginning, they still try to go a bit down the light-hearted route, obviously. But then the Hulk shows up, and the Hulk just gets dead.
Yeah, gets his ass handed to him.
And I think that's when you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, is it Heimdall?
Yeah, Heimdall gets killed.
Gets killed after he sends Hulk back to Earth.
That's nice. I liked that.
Yeah. And then you're like, oh, okay. And then Loki gets just outright murdered, and you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, yeah, brutal. Yeah, that whole scene really did set the scene for me. And where does it go after that? Oh, we're not going to be able to cover this scene by scene, or like plot point by plot point, because there is.
I think we're just gonna have to split almost the groups of characters.
Yeah,
aren't we?
Yeah. So
obviously. So do we follow Thor, or do we just start talking about the other groups?
Let's go with Hulk. Hulk and where he ends up.
So, the Hulk ends up at Doctor Strange's house, I guess.
The Sanctum Sanctorum.
There we go. Crashing through the stairs. And that's one of those things where you got to wonder whether Heimdall did that on purpose.
I think...
Like, as in, like, that's somebody good for the Hulk to end up at.
Right, yeah.
For warning people.
Yeah, definitely.
And then that doesn't waste any time in, like, getting... Tony Stark
Heimdall would have known. Heimdall can see like everything, and he would have known where the next stone was as well.
Yeah, and obviously Thor has interacted with him as well. So
yeah,
with Doctor Strange.
Yes, he has, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then they people come for the time stone, and that's a really good fight scene.
Yes.
Because I do really, like I kind of was saying earlier, I do really like the fact that the Iron Man suit basically has nanotech as its kind of cover-all excuse for the fact that it can just make itself into anything now. And it leads to some really, really cool fights.
Yeah, and like it is like a natural progression for the suit as well, because we've seen it go from like back in the first Iron Man, he could only do it from his garage with like loads of machines and stuff, and then obviously it got portable in a suitcase, and then it became even more portable, and it could find him and attach to him like in bits, and now it's just like it's all embedded in this little chest piece. I thought it was neat, really cool suit.
Yeah. No, I really like it.
Yeah.
It, like you say, it seems like the natural final evolution of the Iron Man suit.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it can even go anywhere beyond this.
No, exactly. Yeah.
And obviously, Tom Holland's Spider-Man gets his Spidey sense, which is quite a cool thing.
Yeah, we see that we see that properly for the first time. I am convinced he's had it in Civil War and stuff as well.
Oh, I'm sure, but the shot of the hairs like sticking up on him.
Yeah.
And he obviously goes off to join the fray because he's Spider-Man. He ain't afraid of nothing.
No. Oh, I love Spider-Man. He's the greatest.
Oh yeah, definitely my favourite of the Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I guess.
I think he might. I mean, I watched Homecoming again recently. I think it might be one of my favourite MCU films.
Oh, I watched it as well in the build-up to this film.
Yeah, it's cracking. I think Spider-Man might be one of my favourite characters.
Hmm.
So
and that's
yeah.
a real good.
So Hulk ended up with Captain America and Scarlet Witch and War Machine and Falcon and eventually T'Challa and
all of those guys in Wakanda.
Yeah.
Although I think important to mention, we say Hulk a lot, but Hulk actually doesn't really appear
No, you're
much
right.
beyond the opening scene.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Because after he gets his ass handed to him by Thanos,
Yeah.
he just doesn't want to come out anymore.
It's quite interesting. Yeah, again, it's only like little blips in the scenes, but like it's good at adding like a little bit of extra character in a film that's jam packed.
Yeah, especially after what was established in Thor Ragnarok of obviously Hulk had been in control for several years.
It's a subtle
Yeah.
way of like it has the Hulk's character, and B, it again adds to Thanos as a character.
Yeah,
Because you're like, wow, okay, the Hulk is scared of Thanos. That's something.
yeah. He got his ass whooped.
Did you like Cap in this film?
Yes, I did like his beard and his arm like thingy robs.
Yeah, shields
for like punch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
So I thought-
this was my favourite time I've seen Cap actually, or is he just Steve? I guess in this as well.
Well, supposedly from like the news articles I've been reading around it, he's kind of going closer to one of Steve Rogers' other kind of hero alter egos,
Right,
which is called
okay.
the Nomad.
Nomad, yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I guess.
So yeah, no, I liked him. He had some good, it funny moments all the way through. Like
I liked him more in this film. He's just got that little bit more edge, which I liked about him. And
yeah, and you could,
I got genuine goosebumps at that first appearance of him and Black Widow and everyone with the Avengers music playing over the top.
that's another really good fight scene.
Yeah.
Is obviously Vision and Scarlet Witch trying to hold off the aliens until they just turn up and basically just mess them up.
Yeah.
Good.
What did you think of Paul Bettany in this?
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. Obviously, it was something that got teased in Age of Ultron, wasn't it? Like the romantic connection.
Yeah.
And also in Civil War. But it's kind of interesting how it's kind of progressed.
Was it weird seeing Paul Bettany's face?
A little bit.
It was wrinklier than I remember. He looks good, but no.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, bit of wrinkles. He looks good though.
Although it's a shame that because obviously things had to happen to Vision in this film.
Yeah.
But it was a shame that he didn't really get much of a good fight scene himself.
No.
Because he was stabbed early on, and that kind of stopped him for the entire film.
Yeah. I guess they just needed to show that he's not as invincible as he seems, because he did a lot in Age of Ultron. He like barely took a scratch in Age of Ultron.
Yeah. I think having like your top strongest guys all kind of down for the count is quite a good way of building atmosphere
Yeah.
across all of the storylines.
Did you like Scarlet Witch in this?
I thought she had some pretty good moments.
I thought she had some really good moments. Yeah, I thought I like how she's pretty much the strongest Avenger, isn't she?
Oh yeah, it's like she's especially at the end you get to see how strong she is during this, because obviously we're talking spoilers now, during the sequence where she's trying to destroy the last Infinity Stone, and with the other hand is holding back Thanos.
Yeah, that was really cool. One detail that I think one of my favourite details from this film was they showed it in the bit in the trailer was with Cap holding back the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
And I thought that was like a symbol to like Cap as a character and how strong he is, and like also what I really like is Cap can shift Thor's hammer in Age of Ultron. Yeah. And that they're obviously made from the same like forge, aren't they?
Yeah.
Which I thought was really neat, because I was like, oh, that makes sense, because Cap can move Thor's hammer, so obviously he'd be able to like hold the Infinity Gauntlet for a bit.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. I thought the Thor story would drag, but it ended up not dragging because it felt like the most complete arc out of all the Avengers.
Yeah, it had as much as it needed to have.
Yeah, it felt like the most self-contained like character story, because from the opening scene, Thor had like actually something against Thanos. Like an actual wanting to take revenge, whereas none of the other characters obviously had quite as deep a connection with him.
No, they just feared him because of what they had heard.
Yeah. But like, all those stories just happened so naturally, and
What do you think of the axe instead of the hammer?
Like it.
Yeah, I think it has some
I like the robot
cool
eye
combat
as well, and it wasn't just a cop out, because of course Rocket has a robot eye on it.
Yeah.
Like, it made, like, at first I was like, hang on, this is a bit convenient, he's just getting the eye back straight away. But, like, no, of course Rocket's got a robot eye. Rocket has that, like, because these characters are so, like, well understood by the writers, you're like, yeah, that makes so much sense.
Especially when Rocket meets Bucky Barnes, he's like, I'm coming for that arm.
Yeah, I'm getting that arm. I liked them too, as a brief interaction.
Yeah, no, I like all the little interactions that kind of characters that I've never met before have. Like Groot in Captain America.
Yeah, I am Steve Rogers. I like how Thor can speak Groot as well.
Yeah, he's like, it's an elective at school.
Yeah, it was. I just love the way all the characters worked together, and.
No, I suppose we should talk about the wider Guardians of the Galaxy, shouldn't we? Because I think, obviously, their introduction is kind of fitting. They're just kind of looking at a distress call for
money.
For money.
Yeah. And I like how they just said space, and it had like some 70s music on again, and I was just like, yeah, this is the Guardians. This is cool.
Yeah. I like how even Gamora was like singing along, like mouthing along to the music.
Yeah, so do I. So the space team, they all kind of meet up, don't they?
Yeah, well they meet Thor, and then Thor goes off with Rocket and Groot.
Yeah.
And the others go off to try and face Thanos. Which I guess was quite brave of them.
Yeah.
I think that's another really, really good moment, is in showing basically the power of the Infinity Stones, is when they go to try and save the Collector from Thanos.
Yeah. They don't go and try and save the Collector, do they?
Well, they're looking for the Infinity Stone, but he just happens to be there.
You know, I found Benicio del Toro really grating since The Last Jedi.
Oh, right, yeah.
I don't like his characters where he's just like weird and like eccentric. I prefer him in straight roles, I think.
Oh, no, that's fair enough, to be honest. For some reason, it hadn't clicked that I was the same person.
That's deep.
I don't even know why. It's really obvious.
Yeah.
And obviously that shows the power of the reality stone, isn't it?
And I like the little effect on the reality stone as well, because it's got that kind of red soft edges, and like that's how it looked in the Dark World as well.
And obviously when Gamora kills Thanos, and you're like, wait, no, it couldn't have been that. What's going on?
Yeah.
And then you hear the voice, and then everything is like on fire.
Yeah. I liked how they used the stones in this. It didn't just feel like I was worried it would just be like lasers.
No, I was worried it was just going to be basically powering up like a power source where none of them really do anything different.
Yeah, exactly. Where they're all just shooting different coloured lasers, which would have been real boring. But yeah, the reality stone, like everything he does with that was really cool. What else do we have? We have is it the soul?
Obviously
the soul stone. Oh, what did you think of that sequence? By the way, we had the return of the Red Skull.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. I was a bit like, huh?
Yeah, because that was really neat because that was a bit of an untied loose end from the first Avenger, wasn't it?
Yeah, where he just like disappears.
Yeah, and it makes sense as well. I'm so impressed at how much they actually managed to tie up and link back to, because like that's the thing. The Collector was a relatively like minor character, but it just pays off if you've seen. And if you've watched all the end credit scenes as well religiously, like you'll kind of get what's going on better. And yeah, it's just such a well built universe, and they actually really managed to pull it off.
Well, the thing is, I'll say about all of that is it kind of almost humanizes Thanos a bit, and how much he very clearly cares for Gamora.
Yeah,
like throughout the film, and obviously in his visions and things like that.
Yeah,
and in the flashback.
Yes.
And then obviously at the he pushes her off a cliff basically to get the Soul Stone. I don't think that's going to be a permanent death.
No, I think she's too good a part of the Guardians, and she hasn't really had that. I mean, she has had character arcs, but like I feel like in the actual Guardians films, she hasn't had that much to do yet.
No, and I think it would take the diversity of the Guardians down by quite a bit.
Yeah, that's true. I really hope that's not a permanent death.
No, I hope so as well. I was like, oh my god, because I thought it was just going to be a test, and like he would throw her off, and then something would happen, and she'd be fine.
Yeah, or that
it'd just be
we actually see her like bleeding body at the bottom as well, which was
like I thought it's just going to be like, oh, the Soul Stone just needed to know you're willing to give it up.
Speaking of deaths, Phil. Is this going to damage the kind of death effect in the Marvel films even more? Because inevitably, a lot of those characters who seemingly died are going to come back.
I thought it was a really powerful way to end the film.
Oh yeah, that was.
I think it depends on how they're brought back.
Yeah.
Because if it's just something really simple, then it's like, why couldn't they just always do this?
Yeah.
But I think it will literally have to be like almost a rewrite of the events themselves, like a basic time loop fuckery or something like that. Something that Doctor Strange very clearly knows about, because he was like, this is the only way when he disappears.
Well, he looked at every eventuality, and it was 1 in 14 million, and obviously in that 1 in 14 million, the situation is Thanos gets all the Infinity Stones.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, if he didn't get all the Infinity Stones, he would still be like this mad tyrant, and it would take longer for him to accomplish his goal, but it would probably be more devastating, if anything, and
he'd probably have killed all the heroes, not just half of them.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I think, so Doctor Strange obviously had his reasons.
Yeah. But that was such a tragic scene, because I kept on seeing characters and I was like, please no, not you as well.
I think Spider-Man was the one that got me.
Yeah. And well, you got to hope it's not permanent, because otherwise Guardians 3 is just going to be rocket.
Yeah. That's the thing. I think like this is why I'm a little worried about, because the directors, the Russos as well, prior to this, in part of the marketing campaign, was like, oh, you say Marvel characters don't die enough, be careful what you wish for. But like obviously they're going to bring a lot. They're going to bring a lot of these guys back, which wouldn't.
Or in like a month's time, they're going to be like, here's the new movie lineup.
Well, they already have.
Like half of them are gone.
James Gunn has already announced Guardians 3, and
Now,
Spider-Man,
now
Spider-Man
it's just
Homecoming 2 or Spider-Man 2 has been confirmed, I'm pretty sure. Like,
so. Here's the thing: Guardians 3 is just gonna be a very sad Rocket by himself. Spider-Man Homecoming 2 is gonna be Ned is now Spider-Man,
or maybe Venom.
Yeah, or Venom.
Tom Hardy's Venom.
I could trying to think what other like sequels are in the works.
Black Panther 2.
Yeah, that's.
Although
that's
having said
just...
that, what's his sister called?
Oh, I'm not sure, but I know. Yeah, I was surprised that he was one of the people to disappear. To be honest.
Yeah. I think she's been the Black Panther in one of the comic runs before.
Yeah, see that works. Everyone dead. It was basically an easier way than like firing people.
Yeah. Shuri, that's it.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But no, one of my friends described it after we saw it as Thanos the movie, and that's basically true.
It is. In fact, they obviously play on that because at the end of the credits as well, they say Thanos will return.
Yeah.
Rather than any of the Avengers will return. This was. I think that's what I liked about the style of this movie, is that it genuinely does write it from a kind of different perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the only constant narrative we have the way through is like where Thanos goes.
Yeah, because it's all kind of his is the main story. It's just how everyone reacts to him is the story.
And I think it works mainly because they've got a very unique position as a franchise, whereas where we know all the other characters well enough to still root for them.
Yeah.
This is why I feel it'd be weird if you only watch the Avengers films.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you would not get a good enough character to be like, why am I rooting for this character kind of thing. Like...
Although, changing topic almost a little bit, but this is something that I reckon you probably thought as well. The battle scene in Wakanda at the beginning.
Naboo.
My brain was like, Phantom Menace.
Yeah. The big shield and everything.
Yeah, big shield. They all have their energy shields. It's the native people chasing away the invaders.
But to be fair, at least there wasn't a big shut-off button.
Yeah. Hey, I'll try barrel rolling. That's a neat trick.
At least there wasn't a bumbling character who had some big blue balls, like throwing them around. Although I'm waiting for the edit. When someone does integrate Jar Jar Binks into that fight sequence.
Oh yeah, no, and I'll definitely watch it as well. I'm definitely part of the problem. Though.
Yeah, if no one does it, I'm definitely going to do it.
But no, it's just a really, really solid movie.
It was, and very bleak ending.
Yeah,
like
I think it's
stunned
interesting.
Silence.
Oh yeah, I was just like, wow.
That's why I also liked how they didn't put a mid-credit scene in.
Yeah.
There's like a neat bit where like you expect the mid-credit scene, but it's just like this like very eerie piano rendition of the Avengers theme, and then like the logo like crumbles away to dust in the same kind of effect, and yeah, it's just really good.
No, it is interesting where they're gonna like go from here, because obviously now Tony Stark is just on Titan with just Nebula.
Yeah.
And obviously all the other heroes are on Earth.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But
I mean, it's only a year until the next one now, isn't it?
It is, yes. Yeah, it's May next year. Yeah, very bleak, very interesting way to go with it. And where is it going to go? Because there's all kinds of stuff in play as well. There's reality to play with. There's time to play with. There's space and soul and time and power and soul to play with. It's gonna be cool.
Makes me think it has to be some kind of scheme to get the Infinity Gauntlet for themselves and use it again.
Well, it's got to go back in time. Surely.
Well, that's the thing. That's the only way they'd do it, though.
Yeah.
I imagine.
Yeah.
Unless some equally powerful like MacGuffin comes out of nowhere.
I think...
Like, hi, I'm Time Man.
Well, you say that. Did you see the end credit scene?
Oh, yes, the Captain
Marvel. I mean, she's not Time Man, I admit, but...
Although that's going to be an interesting one, explaining why she's not been involved in any of the stories since
Sure.
the 90s, where her film is
Yeah,
set.
I imagine it's some kind of freezing cryogenic sleep or something like that.
It always
Yeah.
is. And obviously, Ant-Man and the Wasp is the next film, so I assume that probably takes place either earlier or even far in the future beyond these events, because otherwise it's going to be a real depressing film of like
They're trying to do they're trying to do a fun heist while just like
half the population is dead.
breathing in the dust of half the population.
Hey, where are those fun guys we did the last heist with? All gone. Oh.
So, missing characters, Phil. Do you want to talk briefly about this?
So, as in what the characters who didn't appear in the film were
Yeah,
told?
I thought Hawkeye was part of the publicity.
See, Hawkeye and Ant-Man, I was looking at the Wikipedia page earlier, and they said despite the fact they were slated to be in the film, they weren't in the theatrical cut, which makes me think maybe they had like just a brief scene, which basically just summed up the fact that they weren't going to be.
Yeah, well, I imagine they'll cover both of them. I think Hawkeye's likely to pop up in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I think both of them will appear in the next Avengers as well, just to make the numbers up again.
Well, I think one of them's probably going to die in Ant-Man and the Wasp. I reckon maybe at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp, one of them's going to crumble away.
Oh, so you're suggesting that Ant-Man and the Wasp almost takes place simultaneously?
Yeah, or just up until maybe the post-credit scene is one of them crumbling away. Maybe they're and then maybe they're buds by the end of the film, and then it's like the Wasp and Hawkeye are like, oh no, Scott's gone. We got to go and join the Avengers. Maybe because they're on house arrest as well now, right?
They took some kind of plea bargain, didn't they?
Yeah, so they can hang out with their families but still be under house arrest. Yeah, so like maybe their security guards crumble away or whatever, and I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah, because I think those are the only two MCU films between the two Avengers, isn't it?
Apart from maybe Venom.
If it does well, if it earns a spot.
If it gets like good initial releases, they'll film a quick post-credit scene where Venom crumbles away or something.
Yeah, just leaving Tom Hardy somehow, and he'll be really sad. He'll be like, Venom, you completed me.
I wish that film would crumble away. Jeez. Who else was missing? So the beginning, do you reckon we've lost Valkyrie, Korg, Meek, all the Ragnarok supporting characters?
Sadly, probably.
But they weren't in the post-credit scene of Ragnarok. Do you reckon they took another ship or something?
I think it depends what they want to do with Thor as a character after the next Avengers. I reckon they could have been.
I feel like Valkyrie was definitely like a really like popular, cool character, and I think it because the beginning of that film I feel like is the only bit that's probably still canon or still going to be canon once they've sorted stuff.
Once time's rewritten or whatever.
And I don't think you can kill off Valkyrie and Korg and Meek. I feel like they could carry a film. Like I feel like Valkyrie could carry a film.
Oh no, Valkyrie was definitely an interesting character. Yeah. It really, I guess, it just depends on what they want to do in the future. Because at the end of the day, if they're like, "Oh, we want to do more with Thor," they can't be like, "Well, his home and literally all his supporting players are dead."
And again, like because they've potentially killed Gamora and potentially killed Valkyrie, you don't want to upset too much of the strong diversity they've built in that franchise.
It's the new Guardians team of Rocket, Thor, and Nebula, and that's it.
But yeah, because Valkyrie was even potentially all like the first LGBT character as well in Marvel, because there's an implied romance, I think, between two of the members of the Valkyrie.
Yeah.
So I think it would be a shame to lose her, but we'll have to see.
So I think that I'm not sure if I've got that much more to say. I mean, obviously, I could probably talk about the film if we started breaking down the scenes and the fights even more.
Yeah.
But I think that probably is quite a good review. Basically, we really liked it.
We did really like it, and we're
yeah.
both optimistic about the same film.
Yeah, and optimistic to see the next one.
Definitely. I mean, Ant-Man and the Wasp was the next one, but...
Oh, no, I'm still... Well, okay, the next few.
Yeah. Apart from Venom. Venom can fuck off.
Well, Venom's not real MCU.
Do you hear the head of Sony and the head of Marvel, Kevin Feige, they were like in an interview together, and they asked if Venom was part of the MCU, and who's the head of Sony films? Anyway, she was like, oh, it takes place away from everything, but it is part of the MCU. And Feige's face is just like, is it? It's worth watching. He looks like as surprised as like everyone else.
It takes place really, really far away in its own cinematic universe.
But yeah, very excited. And also, it does kind of work as a standalone film as well. If you look at Thanos as the main character, it works as a standalone. He gets his arc, he gets his sunset. It's
yeah, everything's coming up, Thanos.
I mean, he is insane. I really like the scene where he's passionately like justifying himself, and Gamora just turns around and she's just like, "Mate, you're nuts!" Like,
mate, what you talking about?
You are chatting out your ass, out of your big
stop
purple
chatting
ass.
shit, Thanos.
Some great quips as well. Yeah, that's the thing. It felt funny. It was funny.
Yeah.
When Quill was just like, "I'm going to shoot that purple ballsack off your face." It was, yeah, really good film. And pretty adult as well.
Yeah.
Liked it a awful lot.
I think this will be one that in the future that Marvel fanboys point to when DC tries to throw shade about how their universe is so mature and dark. Yeah. And they'll be like, well, in this film... Star-Lord almost shot his girlfriend in the head.
Yeah.
In a pretty dark moment.
Yeah. Oh, it's just, gorgeous looking film. Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I'm going to see it again tomorrow. 3rd time.
Oh, cool.
Nice job, Marvel. And good job for the Russos, who, again, like Winter Soldier I liked. I really liked Winter Soldier, but their directing suited that film because it was very down to earth. When they upped the scale for Civil War, I was a bit unsure because I didn't feel that big scale, and it had that many big characters in it. But this, it felt big.
Yeah.
Like Thanos throwing the moon.
Yes, that was quite a good display of power again.
It was.
Because that was the Purple Stone, wasn't it? The first one.
Yeah, is that called the Power? Is that the Power Stone?
Maybe.
I think it is, because that's the one Ronan uses, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the one from Guardians 1.
Cool. Awfully good, wasn't it?
Very, very good. So, wrap up?
Wrap up.
Anyway, so that's our show for this week. A lot of this will probably be repeating what I said before the spoilers, so I'm not going to repeat it again. But thank you very much for listening. Next week, like I say, we're going to be doing a bit more of a creative episode where we're just going to be pitching movies, and I reckon it's going to be quite fun. Need to work out how that would work logistically, but
save that, Phil. That's not for the podcast. Unless we do we do another podcast episode where we plan what we're going to do for the next one.
It'll be every season opener from now on. Will be us planning the next 8-9 weeks.
I've just found out I'm going to be working till 3:30 again because 3 people were booked in to see the Midnight Avengers tonight. So that's fun.
Oh wow,
worth it.
Oh, that sucks.
I'm just going to be permanently tired for this season. Just a heads up, everyone. But it's fine.
It's fine.
We're doing it.
So yes, follow the podcast at Cynical Podcast on Twitter, where you'll get all the updates, and we'll try and I guess, tweet more than we have been. Maybe can't guarantee it.
Or at least
Maybe Nick can do it. Nick can do it at like 2:30 in the morning when he's bored at work.
it's true.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Join us next week.
I've been Nick.
I've been Phill. Thank you very much for listening.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Dun 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 dun.
Cool.